Joining us now is News Corp columnist Louise Roberts. So great to see you. Thank you,
Gabriella.
Let's start with some royal news. A court has ruled that Prince Harry's immigration files must be made public. Judge Nichols ordered the release of the documents relating to the Duke of Sussex US visa application. And this is part of an ongoing Freedom of Information request brought by the Heritage Foundation. As we know, Prince Harry referred to taking cocaine, marijuana, psychedelic mushrooms in his autobiography Spare, which prompted the organisation to ask why he was allowed to relocate into America. We know that Donald Trump has said that he probably won't be kicking Prince Harry out because he's got enough trouble with his wife Meghan. But it'll be interesting to see when these files are made public. What can we expect?
Well, the thing is, the files will be redacted to an extent, so we may not get the answers that I think the Heritage Foundation is looking for, because their issue is that in applying for an American visa, you are specifically asked the question if you have or are taking illegal substances such as Class A drugs, the very drugs, of course, that Harry admitted to in his autobiography Spare. And he had no issue on the visa front at all until January 23 when his book was released. And of course, as you say, the Heritage Foundation leapt on this. But what Judge Nichols has done, previously he said, I won't release them because there's no public interest, but because of the Freedom of Information request, and the Heritage Foundation have not let this go. They've been absolutely relentless for 2 years, because I think for them it's less about Prince Harry and more about exposing hypocrisy perhaps in the government or favouritism, because it was the Biden administration who gave Harry his visa in the first place when he moved to the US in June 3 years earlier. So, yeah.
It'll be, absolutely interesting to see how this one plays out. And there is a huge amount of public interest in this. Is there a double standard that Prince Harry can do what he wants and
that's right.
get let into America?
Exactly. And how has he answered that question? Has he said, yes, I took drugs?
Or has he lied?
Or has he lied? Exactly.
Well, his wife, Meghan Markle, she's announced another project, this time a new podcast after her second one, Archetypes, was axed. She's now launching Confessions of a Female Founder. Now, she made the announcement on Instagram saying, I'm so excited to share with you something else I've been working on, Confessions of a Female Founder, with my new podcast, Lemonada Media. Now, there's already been some backlash, which is nothing new when we're talking about Meghan Markle, but some people are even suggesting that she's stolen the idea from another YouTuber, that the podcast isn't that original. How do you think this one will go?
Well, I think Katie Mitre, who is the YouTuber in question, whose name Meghan has how he's celebrated, maybe copied, who knows, has been very classy about this. She hasn't gone after Meghan. She said, possibly she's made a mistake. I don't think she's copied me. She's been quite generous around it, so maybe she's angling for an interview with Meghan at some point, who knows. But I think given that Archetypes, which was the first podcast with Spotify, was dropped, and sort of, you remember the Spotify executive called Harry and Meghan a pair of grifters. I mean, it was, that could not have been a more, tragic or, tumultuous exit, I think, from that part of the business. So, will she get an audience? Who knows? It depends who she gets on and the questions that she asks, but also critically, what she reveals about herself, because we know with her current Netflix series, it's all very vanilla. There's nothing meaty or juicy about her that we learn.
Not at all. It's all about elevating takeout dinners and
edible
moving,
flowers.
And moving
things like that.
What was it? Pretzels from one bag to another.
That's right. Decanting them. Yes, don't we all do that, Gabriella? I mean, yeah. So,
thank goodness for her show. Netflix won't be renewing the Sussex's $100 million contract, but may make one-off shows with them going forward, just in case they get divorced. So journalist and screenwriter Marina Hyde told the Daily Mail that other streamers may also fight to work with the couple to keep a vague hand in if one day Meghan and Harry split. That's a bit grim, I must say. But do you think that's probably part of the reason behind why people are keeping this relationship going with them?
Because Meghan's team have already signalled that a post-divorce book could be in the works. You remember that Vanity Fair story in January where it was alleged that her team were, quote, shopping it around to unnamed publishers.
Wow.
So, there's already a plan B, I think, underway for her. So clearly Netflix want to make sure they retain the rights to any post-divorce interview, because it would just blow Diana and their previous interview with Oprah right out of the water. Money could not buy the publicity and the exposure you would get if you were the streamer who owned that content, and everyone will be competing for it. So I'm not surprised. Look, I know Marina, she's very expert in this area, so I do place a lot of strength on what she's saying. I think there's definitely a strategy with Netflix there, kind of dressed up in, well, we already had part 2 of Meghan's show underway anyway. We're always going to do it, but clearly they want to make sure they get the interview when, not if, but when it happens.
When that happens, and that seems to be the speculation as well.
It does.
People are looking at the clock with that one.